This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we are committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. Today, Phil Better and I discuss how to become the person you were always meant to be. So, if you want to discover how our mind is the creator of our own world, understand the story we were sold as children, those were lies, and learn to seek your truth so you can become the strongest version of yourself, this is the show for you. Phil Better, my new friend, is a podcast mogul, has 4 shows that he hosts, as well as producing over 20 other podcasts. He's on a mission to help independent podcasters monetize and grow their podcasts. Phil Better, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you for that amazing intro, Rob. My God.
Oh, I know. You know, I'm fighting this yuck, so people are going, it doesn't sound like Rob. It just doesn't sound like him. Maybe he's got a fill-in today, but a fill-in. Do you like how I did that?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. So, and I'm probably all jacked up on cough medicine, so it's going to be a really fun show.
I am looking forward to the adventure of a roller coaster we're about to have, Rob.
Absolutely. So, welcome. And, you know, you're a podcaster, but we're not going to talk about the stuff you usually talk about. Remember?
No, this is very odd for me. This is the second time I've talked on a podcast, apart from my own, about the transformation that I had. So it's a little awkward. And as we were in the green room, quote unquote. So I don't know if you put this out into video, but an audio version, I'm putting air quotes up there, the green room, before we recorded, Rob's like, yes, so I don't want to talk about all this podcasting stuff. I'm like, I don't know how to tell my story of transformation. Like for me, like it's like a very simple story, but looking back, like I always thought it was a simple story, but it's looking back, there's a lot of little things that happened.
Well, you just sit back, relax, and I will take you on a e-ticket ride. You ready?
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So Phil is a great guy. Met him through the podcasting space. Very generous, very kind, big heart. And what people talk about him and what they say the most is like, Phil's a great guy. He's so nice. He's so generous. He's so kind. And, you know, that's a really nice way to go through life that people think that about you. However, when people hear that, they think, oh, Phil's life is perfect. He doesn't have any problems. You know, it's just a magical, you know, unicorns and candy corn life. Well, 2019, a day that will live in infamy, your life. Well, what happened with your life in 2019?
All right. So 2019, beginning of the year, I was in a relationship. By July, the relationship had ended. In kind of like a blaze of glory, if you will. 6-year relationship with a girl I thought that I would, a girl I thought I would be with for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, I wasn't the person I should have been by the end of it. I was a very angry, upset man. I had ballooned to 300 pounds. Wasn't happy with who I was, how I looked, all that. And it just obviously created a toxic environment with her. And I hold no ill will towards her. I've come to like she did nothing wrong. She was looking out for herself, and that's all you can do in a relationship. So that's only realizing this today, not back then. Furious Phil. I tried to forgive her, quote unquote, but anyways, the relationship ends. I have no partner. I have no drive. I have no direction in life. So I throw myself into my work. And my work at the time, I was working for a financial institution in their fraud department. So obviously, not very happy place to to be because you're dealing with people either yelling at you for blocking their credit card or lying to you because they're putting false payments on their card. Like, it wasn't a fun place to be. It was always like negative and like constant pressure. So I threw myself into work because it was like, well, I don't have anything outside of work. So I'm just going to throw myself into work and let that be my all-consuming life.
So was your identity just all in for this relationship? Was that your entire identity? Did you just like put everything in there, and that what was going on?
Over the 6 years, yeah. That's what happened. Over the 6 years, I was just
split up,
and I was gone. I didn't know
you
who
lost
I
everything.
was.
Exactly.
I lost, like, my world exploded. I don't know who I was, what I liked, who my friends were, and all that. Because it was like, for 6 years, it was just like I had wrapped my whole identity around her. Because like my friends were like, "Oh, you're."
Just let me jump in real quick. So you got to 300 pounds. So was this a toxic relationship for 6 years, or was this you were like all amazing 6 years ago, and then this relationship just?
Okay, so what happened?
I'm going to go back to 2013. Oh, you like?
We're going to go back all the way 2013. We start the relationship. Everything seems to be going good. I think young Phil was an idiotic Phil and wasn't really ready for the type of relationship. Because I never healed from any of my traumas in my past. This is all the reason why like the toxic relationship happened and the whole transformation is because I didn't heal from my traumas in the past. And it's things that I only realized like through therapy and self-reflection and self-investment and learning and reading and going, well, look at that. I'm an idiot because, you know, it's right there. The signs were always there, like for me to realize things. So trauma from my childhood, and like not to equate my trauma to anybody else's trauma because you can't do that. But if I look at the trauma subjectively, like just look on a like scientifically scale, it wasn't anything that it was my dad trying to be the best he could, right? Like just trying to encourage me with his words, but not realizing the impact his words had on me. And it was never anything negative. He fully looked at it like, was this the best you could do? And then so in my head was like, well, it's not perfect, so no. So it pushed me towards this, like, I have to be a perfect individual. I have to have this perfect front. And it just like, over time, that was like the persona who I tried to cultivate. And it was never possible. You can't be perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. Nothing in nature is perfect, right? Everything has defects. Everything has flaws. And it's only now realizing that, like, wisdom comes with age. And therapy's genius.
Therapy and the work. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
therapy works.
So your dad was pretty much a perfectionist and he demanded that of you?
He wasn't a perfectionist. Like, he never wanted me to be a perfectionist. He just wanted me to be, did you do your best so that you can be as proud as you can of your work? Like, if you're not proud of the work, then is it because you didn't do your best? And if you didn't do your best...
That sounds like a beautiful sentiment. Like,
yes,
hey, I just want you to do the best.
The best you can. But this warped thing,
in there?
This warped thing, because it was like, well, it's not perfect, because I want to be the best for my father. Like, I want to be him. I want him to be proud. So I would continually push myself. And if it wasn't perfect, I wasn't getting 100. I wasn't on the honor roll. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing that. I didn't hit this achievement or that achievement, because I looked at my dad like his life was perfect. Because, like, you know, your parents don't share all the nitty gritties that they go through in life when you're young. And when you look up at your parents, they're perfect. My dad's not perfect. My mom's not perfect. Like, they never claimed to be. But as a child, you're looking up, these are your role models, right? And you want to be like this. So for the longest time, I compared myself to my dad. And that created like a constant flow that I would never be proud of myself. Like a bottomless hole, a pit of like, no matter how many achievements I reached, I could have won the lotto and it wouldn't have been enough because it wasn't, well, why didn't you win more?
Now, is that you?
That was my brain. It was never my father. It was my father. Like, he's like, do you want to play football? Yeah, we go to a football practice, like the tryout. I'm like, oh, hell no. It's like, all right, cool. Like, my dad never forced us to do anything we didn't want to do.
Wow.
But like, looking back, because he didn't, like, my parents never forced us to do stuff, I never took the risks to go try things.
Okay.
So that I could get those lessons. Like, okay, I'm good over here. I'm good over there. The only thing I was actually good at without trying is like school. Like, my school when I was in grade 3, thought I had ADHD because I wouldn't sit still during math and English. My parents bring me to a psychologist. We do all the tests. It shows that I'm above average. Like I was reading at a grade 6 comprehension, understanding math at a grade 5 comprehension when I was in grade 3. Like I was bored and it was the teacher's fault. It was pretty much what the psychologist or therapist pretty much wrote down in his report.
Right.
If we're going colloquialism, the teacher sucked. So for me, like school was I never had to apply myself for school. It just like my understanding of the concepts came really good. Like it was just like, oh, cool. I understand this. Like one through, show me, let me ask 2 questions. Okay, that's how we do it. Okay, cool. I got it. Look, I finished my work. I'm done. Can I do something else? I'm bored. Let me.
Right. So you're really creative and I'm really creative. And I think back to when I was in school and I was in the gifted program, and it was amazing because I didn't really go to class. Like we did special projects. Like I didn't want to write. And so I negotiated in 6th grade. I remember this. I negotiated, and it's funny. I could write a paper on elephants. But what I did is I said, hey, I want to create an oral presentation. And I not only created an oral presentation, but I had, you
did the
posters, the presentation. It took 10,000 hours more, but it was fun because it was creative. But did you take that and maneuver your way through?
No, I was lazy. I used my smarts to get through as easy. Like I coasted. Looking back, I wish my parents had pushed me because I needed a push. Because I need that. If someone says, Phil, we're going to do this, I'm like, okay, cool, we'll do it. And I'll run to like through a mountain to get it done for someone else. Something for me, it's like I have to pull teeth to get myself motivated. And so it's like, okay, I just have to do it. Phil, this is your goal. And I have to challenge myself to reach certain things to get myself going.
Wow.
It's like, okay, Phil, your challenge for the day is this. Boom. If I hit that challenge, great. And it's like, it's just little things over time. Like this is the transformation and that I'm still going through. But that's the tricks. I had to teach myself to challenge myself as if it's a challenge from someone else.
Because you're not lazy now. No, you're not lazy now.
I do 26,000 steps a day. Like that's my daily average steps. Like I'm pumping out. I'm talking with people. I'm on calls. Like just before you said you were like doing full day of Podopolo calls, getting people onto this app, which I think is an amazing thing. But we're not talking about podcasting. Like I'm in Facebook groups. I'm doing all these things to help other people. But when it comes to like building my business or building things for me, it's like, no, that's okay. That it doesn't matter. I want to help this person over here, even though helping this person over here can still benefit me by, hey, they can pay me.
Right.
But it's like, why should I make them pay me when I can give it, all the information's free. If you have YouTube, you can learn how to build a spacecraft. Like this is how, like where we are in the world. So for me, it's kind of like, I'm still learning to value myself as a creator and as an entrepreneur, because I'm still trying to value myself as a human being.
Right.
From those years of trauma. And it's getting better. Like I'm with a beautiful partner now who is like, anytime I tell her like that I met, like when I told her that I met you and told her about what Podopolo does, she's like, oh my God, you're going to help so many people. That's great for you. Cause like now you can get paid for your podcast more than you already do. Like you have another income coming. And like, she was super like head over, like she was like pushing me, showing me how I should celebrate this win. Like connecting with you and connecting with some other amazing people. And so like, I'm learning how to appreciate my wins still in this new relationship but like, so growing up, I coasted through high school, coasted through elementary, coasted through high school, like getting like the 75, 80, just perfectly easy. Cause I didn't have to do too much work. Just had to do a little thing. I could talk my way out of anything though. I was just amazing because I loved hearing my own voice.
I think you and I are very similar in that respect.
Yeah. When I was in university, there was a presentation that we had to do. And one of the people in my group messed up. They didn't do the part properly. And this was 30 minutes before we had to give this presentation that we had worked on for like 3 weeks or something. So I had to figure out his part. I'm like, I got this. Figured out his part, wrote something on it, at least that is passable. If he could BS, knowing that he couldn't BS his way through it, I'm like, I got this. I did the first half, like my original part, which the intro, introducing everything, doing the themes that we're going to touch on. And then everybody else did their part. And then it came back to me to finish off his part, which I had not prepared for. I had nothing. And I was able to wing it. And I think the class knew I was winging it, but was so
Which is such a good job.
It was such a good job. They were like, we're not going to ask questions. But I knew the teacher would.
Right.
So I was prepared for her to come at me with questions, but luckily she didn't. And because there was a class grading, most of the grades for me, like they're like, what was your favorite part of this group's? And it's like, Phil, he seems so knowledgeable. Like those were the top comments I would get back. And so it was like, okay. Like I wish and like looking back, I'm like, I should have gone into politics because I would have cleaned house. I would be like with the talking, but so jumping forward, going into the relationship, I was still like coasting. I hadn't invested in myself. I had read a couple books, but I'm like, that's not going to work for me. Like this is
right.
Fooey things. It's not reality, right? Like a young 18, 20-year-old thinks he knows everything in the world when he knows zero. Go into this relationship with this woman who's an amazing person in her own right. In about 3 years in, we end up breaking up. And then we end up getting back together because I was lost because I had not invested. I didn't know who I was. So I got back together with her, which was a mistake. Looking back, fully a mistake because there was no trust. Because of the issue, how we had broken up, there was no trust anymore. I couldn't trust her. Right. So, the foundation of every relationship is trust. Can you trust your partner? And I thought I could get over it, but it just manifested into a toxic thing. That I thought if I tried to pull her closer and closer and closer, she'd love me more and more. But that just pushes them further and further away. We ended up breaking up, throwing myself into my work with no passion. I had nothing outside the relationship because the relationship was everything. It was relationship and work because that's all I knew. Modeling my parents' behavior. My dad was only work and then he came home. Like I didn't see him do other things. Ends up in November, actually, this is around the 2-year mark. It would be 3 years mark because it's 2022. 2019, around this time, because it's November, we're going to my parents' place, my parents' condo. They just sold their house. They're getting rid of their Christmas supplies. So the Christmas tree stuff, the ornaments that we've had for years. It's supposed to be a happy time, 300 pounds. It's around my birthday, right? I should be celebrating my birthday. I was a miserable SOB. And I ended up blowing up at my mother, having a huge argument with my mother over Christmas ornaments.
Oh, man.
Right? I have my brother there. And for people who don't know, my brother lives with paranoid schizophrenia. Oh. So he's fully med compliant. Like if you look at him, you think he's just shy. He's very reserved, very quiet when he's around people he doesn't know. But when he's not, he's like killing us with jokes, right? It's so much fun. He's there, my dad's there, my mom, my brother-in-law, my sister, and my nephew, who's also my godson, is there. And he's about two-ish at this time. I blow up at my mother. I get in an argument. I'm furious. I'm just venom is fuming out of my mouth. Like it's just spilling out. And my dad just looks at me and he goes, that's it. You're going to see the doc. I don't fucking care. Excuse my language. I don't care. You're going to see the doctor. And the doctor is the family doctor who's been with helped my dad and all this stuff. So I go to him before the first of 2 weeks later. I go to him, do the whole shebang. He's like, okay, we're going to go to a medical. You're going to get scanned, blood tests, all that stuff. I'm prescribing you antidepressants, and we're going to see how it goes in a month or 2 months. All right. Do the test. They do a kidney scan. Spends like 30 minutes scanning my kidneys, and I'm like, I don't like that. That's messed up, right? Go back to the appointment at the end of December, or just around the end of December before Christmas holidays, and he's like, okay, look, you could have kidney stones, so you need to watch this. You're 300 pounds. There's fear of this. Like, you need to change things up. So I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Right? Like, I don't know. Okay. So I'm like, I don't know what I do. So I start walking a bit more, like walking occasionally. But then my mental health still goes down, and like, it's just not good. And work is just pissing me off. I'm fuming all the time. I'm not in a happy place. Thoughts of suicide are increasing, right? Because seasonal depression, and it's just getting worse and worse. January 31st, I have another appointment with him. I go see him. I'm like, no, I can't. My mental health is not taking it. This meds are not doing anything. I need a break, because if not, I'm going to burn out, and I don't need that. I was far past burnout. Right. I was already burnt the F out, like at least by 2 years. This was the big warning sign. So the doc's like, okay, how long do you need? Me being in the toxic masculinity, it's 2 months. I should have took a year. Like I needed a year, and I'm glad that anyways, take 2 months off. Luckily, refers me to a psychologist who was able to see me pretty much the week after I went on burnout. Like, I went on burnout the 1st of February. The following Monday, which was like maybe 5 days later, I had my first therapy session. Did six months of therapy weekly. Just every week I would be just in therapy while I was on burnout. Ended up walking more, just because I would where my therapist's office was like a good 15 to 30 minute walk from where I live. So I was like, I'll just walk. I would walk back, because it was just like easier to walk back, because it was just like, wow, this is like, you have these heavy moments, right? And so I would just walk back. Then COVID hit and shut the world down. I had been in therapy for 4 weeks, and then COVID had hit, and it shut down the world. Everything non-important, like no travel. We got locked in. Like, it was a shutdown.
You're in Canada. You're in Canada, so you guys really locked down. I have some other friends in Canada.
I'm in Quebec. We had a mandatory curfew for a couple months. Like, it was like very like, and I have no problem. I think it was a smart thing. I think they did it a bit too late. The curfew, I'm a little iffy on, but I understand their reasoning. Because they didn't know what it was, and then when it was too late to implement the things, like, they acted too late. They should have done it earlier, but whatever. Like, that's hindsight's 2020. They did what they thought was the best at the time, so I'm not going to complain about that. Shut down the world pretty much, and so like seeing people was gone. I wasn't able to see my nephew, because the month off I had, every week I would go see my nephew. And like, my nephew, he's pure love. Like, a child is pure love. They haven't been corrupted by society, haven't seen the evils of the world. They're just like, come play with me. And you're like, okay. And it's just like, okay, you're this guy. Okay, you're just playing. And it's just like, no nonsense. I don't understand a word you're babbling about, but I know you love me, and that's all I care about. And that's all I would go to my nephew, like therapy. 2 days later, I would be at my nephew, increase of love, go back to the real world, come back therapy. Like, that was for a month. And then the universe was like, no, we're taking away this. And so it was like, okay, I can see him on the phone, but it's not the same thing, because I can't hold him. I can't feel the hugs and that. So that was kind of hard, but I got to see him on calls, got to see my family, do therapy, start learning that, wow, I was the problem. Because I started like listening to more self-help things, understanding that you can actually create the world. Like, one of the first books I read was Think and Grow Rich, which I think is like nearly every entrepreneur in the world reads that book when they start, or anybody who's.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No. So Think and Grow Rich is just an incredible book. 2 other books, I actually did the audiobooks of them a long time ago. It's Grow Rich with Peace of Mind by Napoleon Hill, and The Master Key to Riches. And they're really, really good books. Oh, you can buy a paperback or get the Audible. But Napoleon Hill was way ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah.
Way ahead of his time.
Just speaking on Napoleon Hill for just a tangent, I was reading something on a Facebook. Someone talked about Think and Grow Rich, and someone responded with, well, people should know that Napoleon Hill is a charlatan. There's no actual proof that he knew. Who's the guy he talks? I'm drawing a blank, Barnum, I think, that he knew Barnum at all. And he just made up the things. And it was actually against Barnum's way of thinking, his philosophy. And it's like, it doesn't really matter if he knew him or not. Like, that's inconsequential. Right. The fact that his book has transformed millions and millions of lives since it's been printed just proves what he was saying is true. Regardless if it's connected to the person who he says it is, has no bearing because people believed it. And that's just enough. And it shows the power of belief. Because if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. There's a saying like, whether you do or if you think you can or you can't, you've just proven yourself right. Because if you can do it, you do it. And if you fail at it, whatever, you still did it. But if you don't do it, you still proved yourself right that you can't do it because you didn't do it. I can't remember who did that quote's from, but it's been like one of the best things I've heard in my life.
I want to acknowledge you for the part of where you all of a sudden just realize that, wow, I'm the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's massively significant. And very few people actually realize that they're the problem.
Yeah. Like,
it's always someone else. And the good part about that is when you finally realize that you're the problem, you have the power to be different. Because if you're not the problem and you're just getting and doing all this work around you, your life's never going to change. Like, if you're in a relationship and the partner is the problem,
mm-hmm.
it's not going to change. You can keep doing whatever you're going to do. But when you discover that you're the problem and take ownership of that opens the door for any infinite possibility.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're responsible. What a beautiful thing.
I think it was 75 hard. I'm not sure if it's 75 hard. So if I completely wrong, don't lambast me in the comments and the emails.
We're going to lambast you, man.
Probably, right?
Lambast you.
It's you are responsible for 100% of your life. You are responsible for how people react to your comments. You are responsible for your actions. You're responsible for everything. If you don't take 100% responsibility for your life, then you are to blame for where you are in life.
Absolutely. Your life is where your life is based on all the decisions that you've made up until this point. But the benefit of that, and when you take responsibility, it doesn't mean you have to blame yourself. What it gives you the freedom to do is to I am taking ownership of my life now. I can be on a different course. I can change course.
Yeah,
what a beautiful thing.
It is. And I used to say that for some reason, I really love sailing, but I've never sailed. And I love, the quote is you control the ship of your life. Like, you're on the sea.
Yeah.
And I used to say I was rudderless. I didn't know where I was going. And looking back, it was true. I was just circling around, not doing anything, no really care in the world. And that's because my mind was thinking that. Now I have a direction. I know where I'm going in life. I know what I want. Like, I know the eventual goal, but I don't know how I'm going to get there because I'm still exploring my way there.
Right.
I have that eventual goal that I want to help podcasters all get monetized. Like, I don't want any podcaster not to be monetized. Everybody should be making money from their podcast. Like, that's my goal.
And so you went from working in
a 9 to 5 fraud department, quitting a year
entrepreneur.
Later. Yeah. June of 2021, I quit the bank. I had moved departments because I knew I had to get out of the fraud department. I moved the department to a back office where it was a support role. I was supporting the branches and the call center for banking if they had issues. Because every once in a while, banks, they have these there's the system works, but then you get the one-off that doesn't work because it was created before something and it just has this bug and you have to figure out a workaround. So that's was my department, right? And some of the things I was because at the time I had also launched my podcast, because during the summer of 2020, I was I need to get out of, I knew I had to leave the bank. I could not stay in the bank. I was no longer able to work after consuming so much content of how people made money online. and being like,
Right.
I can make money online and be free. So I started trying to learn multiple failures. And then in November, so my 1 year anniversary of the explosion, I decided I'm going to interview entrepreneurs in the digital space, people who already know how to make money, and ask them the questions that I don't have I can't ask thanks to YouTube.
Right.
So I launched my Digital Entrepreneur Podcast in December, and it was able to give me the freedom by June or July of 2021. From launching that podcast, I was able to do freelancing, get hired by entrepreneurs and other companies to help them build and launch their podcast so that they can use it as a revenue stream.
That's awesome.
So from there, like I was in this other department for like 6 months, and I was always asking questions. I'm like, well, why aren't we doing it like this? Because I'm talking to these entrepreneurs that are actually changing the world with their businesses. And I'm like, I'm taking their creative thinking. I'm like, well, this is ridiculous. Why are we doing things like this? And then I realized when I was keep getting, well, that's how it is. And it's like, okay, I can't work for anybody else. Right. I can't, because the ideas that I have, thanks to the creative side of my mind and having worked in finance for so long, I understand business and how to make money, which is really a good thing for creative people, because creative people, for the most part, have no clue about money. They don't want to know about money, but they understand they need money to create their life and be able to do what they love. So it's like, okay, I know how to make money. I enjoy making money for other people. I'm going to so it was just a simple thing. I'm going to do that. So like my mind works creatively like that. So I'm trying to find creative solutions to help us make more money so that the bank is doing better. So I'm like, okay, I can't. If you're not going to be willing to change your way of thinking, I can't help you, right? So I went into business for myself, helping entrepreneurs, partnering with other podcasters, helping them grow their podcast, make money, finding the joy in life, transforming myself into who I always should have been, someone who helps people instead of trying to take for myself. That's something I learned as well during my
what was that like when you quit?
Oh, it was a great time.
I know. I want to know. That's what I want to. I want to experience that. What was that like when you? There's a story. I know there is. You didn't just leave.
No,
I know.
So I'm 1 week. One of the reasons I moved into this department is because they had a podcast. And I love podcasts. Like I've been podcasting for 6 years, like a few years prior to my burnout. I had my show. It was my best and worst success of my life, because it didn't reach the successes that I wanted, but it taught me the tools to reach the success that I have now with my shows, right? So it's the best show of my life. It's my baby. I love it. It's never going away. It's on hiatus right now, though. Anyways, so I jump into this department thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to be part of this department. Then when I move a bit more, like I'm able to hit the stats properly, I'll be able to jump on the podcast team and take it to the next level. And then they're going to give me yada, 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 right? Big dreams. The guy who runs it, I have no idea who he is. Someone in our Slack, we're using Messenger Teams, right? Microsoft Teams. And someone puts, hey, the latest episode of the podcast, but spell podcast with a pod and then a space and a cast, right? As a podcaster, it's the most annoying thing to see, because this is our industry. This is like our bread and butter. Like we don't mess up spelling other things. Why are you messing up our industry, how we spell our thing? And it's like, it's been known since Jobs dropped like podcasts. Like everybody knows how to spell it. So I just correct him politely. I politely correct him. I go, hey, bud, just letting you know, podcast is one word. Simple like that, right? Hindsight, I should have done it in private message, not in the group chat where there's all the leaders of the departments and of that department in there, like team leads and all that.
Right.
My direct manager responds to it going, thanks. I'm going to call him Bill because I can't remember it. Thanks, Bill, for letting us know about the latest episode, and also thanks to Grammar Nazi or something along those lines. And obviously it's referring to me, right? So I'm still healing. I'm still learning to deal with the toxicity that's in my system. And so the anger pops up and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not going to stand. So I respond directly to her on it going, podcasting is a passion of mine and I take it very serious. And I love to inform people in it, on the topic and that. Just like I help people in the bank understanding and our clients understand the importance of being proper and following things, I take it the same thing with things that I'm passionate about. And I just hit send. Hindsight, not the smartest thing. Don't do that, people. Just don't. It's not smart unless you're ready to blow up a bridge, which I guess I was ready to blow up the bridge. She tells me to call her. She sends me a private message in Teams going, call me. Oh, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I call her using our system. And she's like, no, call my cell phone. I'm like, huh? All right. So I put in her cell phone, call her on her cell phone. And she starts kind of like reaming in on me. And I'm like, she's like, you don't do this. Who do you think you are? Da, da, da. And I'm having to keep a monotone voice. Like I had to go stoic. I had to be very neutral because I was raging. I was ready just to lace into her about how small-minded she was and all this. But I was like, no. So I was like, she's like, do you understand? I'm like, I understand.
I like how she got you offline, not on the recorded calls inside the company and did the private cell phone.
Yeah. Okay. However, she doesn't know that my lines are always recorded because I'm calling out on it. So
right. There you go.
It's there. And so she goes, I don't think you do. And I go, because of how I answered, she thought like I was just dismissing her. And then she goes, I don't think you did. I go, I fully understand what you said. However, because right now I'm very angry, I'm trying to keep my voice very level so I don't say anything that will come back to bite me. And she's like, well, I have to go. Thank you. Bye. Click. And I was like, if you were in front of me and like, violence towards women, no. But there was thoughts. Not going to lie. I'm going to be completely honest. There was thoughts like I would have slapped you if you were in front of me and you did that to me. Like the thought was there. Yeah, I wouldn't have done it, but the thought was there. You don't have to acknowledge that. No hitting women or anything like that. Hitting is stupid. Violence is idiotic. And so I just logged off. Didn't tell anybody. Logged off. Because it was like, no, I can't provide service at the level that this bank requires. And the last thing I want to do is to damage any more relationships, right? Like, so I just log off, go, and I start playing Call of Duty, just like trying to zone out. My phone starts lighting up because I didn't tell anybody. And it's not my direct report, but her manager. So the head of the department is calling my phone. I'm like, I'm not answering it. I can't. Wait till my shift is ended and I'm calmed down. I've gotten all my aggression out thanks to shooting people on Call of Duty. I listen to the message and it's like, hey, Phil, can you please call us? We're a little worried about you. Thanks. Call back. I'm like, hey, I leave a message saying, hey, I'm really sorry. This happened. No, actually, I get her because I thought I was going to get her voicemail, but she ended up picking up. I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I should have told you. I own that. I'm like, I should have told you guys. However, there was a conversation that I had with so-and-so, and it just infuriated me. And she's like, okay, no problem. We're going to have a call on Thursday about this. This was, I think, Wednesday. And this has happened on Wednesday. She's like, well, I'll have a call on Thursday. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll get this all sorted. I'm like, cool. Great. When Thursday comes, in the morning, I message the guy that I kind of like, I must have insulted her. And I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to insult you or anything like that. I should have done it in private, just letting you know. My apologies, right? Taking ownership. I fucked up. You're a manager. Right. I need to apologize. So I apologize to him. He says, yeah, no problem. No worries. Go the whole day without the meeting, no scheduled meeting. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to happen the next day. Like 10 minutes before the shift ends, I get a message from the supervisor going, hey, we're ready to jump in a call with you. I'm like, all right, cool. Jump in the call with them. And they're like, okay, she's there. Both managers are there. And the manager goes, okay, Phil, can you tell us what happened? So I go, Bob said this. I did this. She responded with this. I responded with that. She said to call her. Got on a phone with her. And I said, when she said this, I felt insulted. I was insulted as an employee being called that. The minute I finished, the manager goes, okay, so we want to talk to you about like some of the things that have been happening in training, and like completely dismissing what happened to me as an employee, not acknowledging it, not doing anything. So I'm like, at that point I had checked out. I was like, it's done. Going on, they're like, maybe, you coming over wasn't the best fit. Sometimes this happens. And I go to them and I go, you're right. It wasn't the best fit. I quit. And I just closed the laptop because I was working from home. I just closed the laptop, took my headphones off, walked away, went to play Call of Duty. I was like, I'm done. F this. Phone lights up. I'm like, nah, not today.
Yeah.
No. Wait till about 9:00 at night, log back on, email her, the direct manager, like both of them in the meeting. I'm like, hi, you can consider this email my leaving. Thank you very much. Please inform me where I can send, like how we want to get your equipment back so that we're done here. Next day I get a call. It's the direct manager. I'm like, I gotta answer this, right? Like, I at least maybe I can ask her, and I can write down the info so I can get it sent out of my house. She's like, hey Phil, just want to check in. It kind of ended really abruptly yesterday. I'm like, I'm good. My decision is final. I've made my choice. I'm leaving the bank. Please send me all the information so that we can start this process. And she's like, okay. And the minute, like, Rob, when I tell you, unfortunately, there's like slamming a door has a lot more satisfaction.
Yeah.
And slamming down a phone has a lot more satisfaction. But that closing of that computer lid, I was the best feeling that I had felt in like since my burnout, like since the 2019s, like 2021, closing that lid was like just like a weight was off my shoulder. The monkey was gone. Another monkey jumped on, which, he's a little more friendlier, but it's the stress of running your own business, like, as like trying to get clients, doing your stuff, making sure you can pay your bills, and make sure like that monkey, that's okay. Cause that's on me. I'm owning that. And if I have to, I only have me to blame. So it's like,
that's deep, man. That's deep. That's like, back to responsibility. I only have me to blame.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm still transforming. I'm still becoming the individual that I want to become, like not necessarily the best version of me, but the version 5 years from now, when he looks back, is proud of all the work I have done. And I can honestly say that I'm proud of myself. Like I'm proud of the stuff that I've done, but it's like, it's not resonating from the core of my being proud. It's just like, okay, I can be proud of this because other people, like when in 5 years, when I look back and I see everything I accomplished, everybody I've helped, like I don't even care about the money I make per year. I know at 70, like if I can have 70K a year, I'm happy. Like I know at 70K, I'm happy. I can pay my bills, I'm good. As long as I can pay my bills, I'm happy. Anything extra, whatever, like I want to take a trip. I have the money to pay for a trip. Like that's where I want to be. Anything more, people are like, I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a million. You can have those millions and billions. I'm going to be happy, being able to say, fuck it. I'm going on a trip for 6 months. Like that's my goal in life.
Right.
And being able to help as many podcasters as possible.
Well, I definitely think that you have definitely transformed from 2019 to 2013 to the pandemic to closing that laptop. And the fact of the matter is that when I was talking about you today, what people were saying about you is like the feather in your cap to know Phil's a great guy. Like I want you to hear that and feel that. Like Phil's a great guy. So kudos to you for doing the work and, overcoming obstacles and living a life of transformation.
I just want to help people. Like I always love helping people. So like if anybody who's listening to this, like even gets a minute nugget to start transforming their life, then I can die happy. Like my goal when I wake up is to make one person smile Luckily, it's very easy. It's my girlfriend because all I have to do is kiss her and she smiles for some reason. So it's very easy to make someone smile every day. And she makes me smile. Like just thinking about her puts a smile on my face. I'm very happy. It's a brand new relationship. So I don't know if this is the honeymoon happiness or if it's like it's long term, but I'm being like super honest with her and like being as vulnerable as I'm able to do. But like if I can help one person, like doesn't matter if it's podcast related or just like figure something out in their life and they go on to do great things, like the ripple effect from that is immense. Like you don't know how much you can help someone by just like providing a little example. Like I posted something in some Facebook groups like, hey, this is how you can monetize a podcast. Boom. Like, and I just wrote out exactly what they should do, like the exact steps and what they do. And it's like, I know one person, two people are going to be like, I'm going to try this and it works for them and it makes them some money. I'm like, yeah, help this person. I changed that person's life, you know? But I'll probably never, ever realize that. I'll never be told that. I'll never be able, like the person's not going to DM me and be like, I took your advice and I made $1 million. I don't like whether or not they do that. I don't care. Like I'm not doing it for the accolades. I'm like, if you use this advice and you make money from it, great. But I'm putting it there because
if you want to get advice from Phil, you can go to investinyourselfpod.com, and if he helps you and transforms your life, you can come be a guest on the show, and then also let him know because apparently he doesn't think that anybody's going to say anything good about him. Phil, man, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Rob. I'm sorry if I dominated the conversation. It's a problem I have when I'm not the host.
It was a great conversation. I loved it. I wanted to say thank you for being here today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much, man.
And thank you for allowing me along my very special guest, Phil Better, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.